Donald Trump's vehicular stalkers are always making appearances, gloating that they have cars and I don't have a car. They said Paul's father was a communist, so Paul deserves this. He should be living under enforced poverty. The Anglo-Americans. And they're the Jews, well, the 3 billion Jewish people, whether they call themselves Muslims or Catholics, they get all their opinions from the 30 to 50 million self-declared Jews. So then they say, look, the Muslims, they hate you. No, the Jews dictate what the Muslims, or how the Muslims live, and Jews dictate what information the Muslims have access to. And the Jews are like, look, the Muslims hate you. And I'm like, oh, no, I think the Jewish men are jealous of me, such as Donald Trump and George Bush and Bill Clinton. Ronald Reagan was jealous of my father. And Richard Nixon was, I think he was angry at my father. So then there's the Jewish men in Britain, the British Jewish men, and they're jealous of every white man who has a natural cognitive advantage greater than their cognitive endowment. They're jealous. So the Jews are constantly saying, you have to be Christian. Don't you know you have to be Christian because the Muslims hate you? It's a Jewish false flag operation. The Jews are the ones who select the Muslim leaders. And they tried to do it with the Catholics too. The Catholics hate you. No, the Jewish men are jealous of me. And the Catholics, well, they're mostly all subscribing to Jewish misinformation. And also just every activity they do, every action and everything they say is according to what Jews have dictated to them. Or the limitations of what they're aware of are the limitations that the Jews have imposed on their access to information. And so I'm unconvinced that I've ever made contact with the Muslims or the Catholics, because the Jews are always in between managing perception with disinformation. They're very manipulative. And so I heard somebody giving a Jewish opinion on the radio. They would kill you over there if you wanted to go away for a better opportunity in a foreign nation. And they say, they would kill you. Well, I've been to foreign nations. And there were plenty of Muslims in New York City. And they keep saying, you know, that they're trying to, they've been doing this for such a long time. The Jewish men have been targeting me with this for so many years, and I wasn't even aware of it for most of the time. And I thought I was free to make a new and fresh first impression on foreign society. And then I find out that the Jewish men are like, they'd been portraying me as like somehow hostile to Arabs, I guess, because they set me up with a video game. And the video game was a flight simulator called F/A-18 Hornet. Maybe it was just F/18 Hornet. And it was, maybe it was on the Apple computer. And you do the flight simulator, and they give you a mission. and you go and you drop a bomb, and you have a selection of different bombs that the F-18 Hornet is compatible to carry, and one of them is a large bomb that can destroy a dam. So you're flying, and I don't know where it was, it might have been Iraq. So you're flying through a valley, and then you come up to a dam, and you drop the bomb. And it's a flight simulator. It's a military flight simulator, and they're just like trying to say, well, that means you approve of what we're going to do next. We're going to attack Iraq. I was like, whatever, okay. I figure a private session on a video game that's not even, the computer's not even connected. There wasn't even any internet service. And even if it was an online flight simulator, it's like, why would you interpret somebody doing a simulation of an airstrike as approval to do that? It just doesn't make any sense. And so then I didn't recognize that they were trying to accuse me of that until years later. I'm like, what? Get a life, man. You know, these people. So they're very smothering and controlling. And they're obsessed with me because they were obsessed with my father. And they're like, their attitude is that my father was too perceptive of society and too perceptive of current events. So they would accuse my father of interfering in foreign relations. And they say, that's our job. You're interfering, and that's our job. You can't say this or that. And, well, if an anti-war activist is misinformed, he can be doing a disservice by repeating propaganda. But for them to sabotage and oppress my father all his life, and then to sabotage and oppress me all my life, it's smothering. It's oppressive. It's not freedom. And so they say, we're the real American patriots, and you have to learn from us. And if you went over there, they would kill you. Maybe that's their own paranoia coming out, that they're afraid they would be killed for all their mischief. Anyway, their behavior is oppressive. And I haven't been an ideological communist. It's a different thing to be sympathetic to the USSR for specific reasons, because America is posturing, the USA is posturing as the bad guy. So of course you're supposed to be sympathetic to foreign nations because they're using reverse psychology. So if the USA goes and invades Vietnam and convinces you that they had a big war in Vietnam, however fake the conflict might have been, a good person would say, I hate that. I hate what the government is doing, and I want no part of that. And I hate those people that started the war, these Americans. I hate the Americans who started that war in Vietnam. That's what a good person would say. And then they say, you're unpatriotic. Don't you know how many men have died? And so they constantly setting these traps where you can't choose. They're going to portray you either as a warmonger or they're going to portray you as someone not patriotic. But either way, they're going to say there's something wrong with you as an American. And once you recognize this form of bullying with their fake wars, maybe you might expect you can get through it. And after a man matures enough to recognize that fake wars are necessary, because if without any fake wars, there would be inevitably real wars as the only alternative to fake wars. So fake wars act as a method of social management through manipulation. But after you're aware of that and you're not so motivated anymore, not so easily convinced that the war is is really a lethal, truly a hostile and lethal conflict. Then they're supposed to stop attacking you at some point. And it was actually my own recognition. Well, they shouldn't attack you too severely, even if you're ignorant. Like George Bush has a fake war, and I said, "Oh, I hate George Bush. I wish he was dead. I wish he could have someone could execute him with a sort of like a giant teeter-totter sort of a mechanism." A large lever that's like a trebuchet, sort of, and then it has a wire noose on the end. It's big as a telephone pole, like a trebuchet, the arm of a trebuchet. It's like a giant catapult, and it just snatches his head right off his neck with a wire noose. And that's what I said to somebody in New York, and then they act all hurt. Well, look, he's pretending to be murdering people with drones in Afghanistan and Pakistan. He's pretending to murder people, and he convinced me, okay? He said, look, I'm the bad guy, and I'm murdering people who are not even identified as any form of aggressor, not even proven to be a terrorist. It's just like murdering people with signature strikes and drone strikes. All you see is a little shape on the infrared camera, a little human shape, and then an explosion. And then, of course, you're supposed to say, I hate George Bush. I wish George Bush was dead. And you're not supposed to be condemned for saying that. They're supposed to say, well, that was emotionally healthy and ethical. However, you jumped to the conclusion that you knew what was happening, and it was actually a fake war. So you shouldn't wish George Bush was dead. Instead of that, they attack me for decade after decade after decade. So they're sick, and they have to, at some point, stop pursuing someone who's been a target because his father was a target. They have to stop pursuing me at some point. They're keeping me in poverty. So they're really unforgiving, and they're really judgmental. And it's only a hypothetical war, and it was a hypothetical idea that he should be killed for being a murderer, but it wasn't true. It was a fake terror attack on 9/11, a fake war following a fake terror attack. And so then I figured I had won the debate because I'd have the moral high ground on George W. Bush because he's a Republican, and I said, hey, there was no racial slavery of Africans. And so the statue of Abraham Lincoln could be removed from the Capitol, moved from Washington, D.C., because it was there was no racial slavery to liberate. There were no victims of racial slavery to be liberated by the fake Civil War. And I don't know what they're trying to do now, but I think I should have been able to isolate George W. Bush, and I should have more people on my side. Maybe it's just really slow. It's really a slow process, like an aircraft carrier turning around. For George W. Bush, I pulled the rug out from under George W. Bush and Barack Obama, both of them at once, and I'm not getting enough opportunity. I should be getting more opportunity, financial opportunity. I should have women as groupies who want to meet me, young women, and I should be giving lectures to larger audiences, and I should be recognized as the leader of 1776 revival. And instead of that, I'm getting like not enough help, and they're still clinging to their old narratives. Anyway, this video is already too long.